Hello and welcome to another Wilosophy vlog. My name is William Song, the Principal Coach of Wilosophy. It's International Coaching Week 2020 and I'm at home in Guangzhou bringing to you this Wilosophy vlog. Most of us coaches around the world are doing lots of events online for the International Coaching Week because of the global pandemic for coronavirus. As a coach myself, I've been very busy doing Zoom webinars and catching up with my clients on WeChat. And I wanted to spend this time in this particular vlog to talk about coaching, and in particular, the coaching culture, which is a bit of a tongue twister. Coaching culture and why that's important in a region such as Southeast Asia. Like I said, I'm in my home in Guangzhou, and coaching in China is quite a, I'd say, nascent industry. So it's probably more dominant and a bit more mature in Beijing and Shanghai in mainland China, but also quite mature in Hong Kong. Here in Guangzhou and Shenzhen, probably not so much, but I'm seeing that growing as tertiary services move into the Greater Bay Area. Now, as part of International Coaching Week, I'm bringing coaching to you, and if you're new to coaching, then let me just quickly use a few moments to describe what coaching is. You've probably heard lots of different types of definitions of coaching, but my definition of coaching is a process for people to engage, an interpersonal process, shall I say, where it helps the client to understand how they can positively grow and change through exploratory discussions, and to find inner strengths and innate motivations that they've not sought out before in order to find some more clarity around their direction, around their goals. Okay? You might think, you're probably sitting there thinking, wow, that's a lot of words, that's quite a mouthful. So let me bring us to a more of a local and easier way to understand this. And because lots of people ask me, Will, what is coaching? Especially here in China, because it's so nascent, I use the analogy of Chinese medicine and Western medicine to describe coaching. So Chinese medicine being 中药 and Western medicine being 西药. Okay, Western medicine for me would be something like mentoring or consulting, whereas Chinese medicine is coaching, and I'll explain why. So if I had a headache, as an example, in Western medicine, I will be offered a paracetamol, a Nurofen, an Advil, and I'll pop into my mouth, and 20 minutes later, my headache would be gone. Okay, and that's the Western style of medication. It's immediate, it fixes the problem. Okay, Chinese medication is more longer term. It's a process, it's a healing process. 调治身体, okay, that's what it means in Chinese, to be able to heal and find the root cause of the problem. Okay, so if I had a headache and a coach would probably ask me, hey Will, what did you do today? Why do you think your head hurts so much? What time did it start happening? Is this an ongoing thing? When do you find your head hurts the most? Okay, so it's a bit of a triage approach to understanding why I have a headache, finding out the root cause and fixing the root cause rather than fixing the symptom, which is more of a Western medication approach. So there you have it. That's a very simple way to talk about what coaching is, or explain what coaching is. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how does that work in an organization or a business or a work context? So let me take you quickly through coaching in a work context then. Many of my clients have a very common problem. Okay, they're in a new role, they've inherited a new team, they have a boss that they don't understand, and that boss is constantly pounding them for results. Okay, because they're an executive. So in a mentoring or a consulting capacity, I, as that manager, might consult my mentor. However, my mentor might tell me, hey Will, I've seen this before in my past experience, and this is what I've done. I've done ABC, you go and try that. Or they may say, hey, I've seen these instances before, and this is what worked, and this is what's really, really helpful, because your boss is this type of person, and your team is new because of these reasons. Try doing these things, ABC. Okay? That would be a mentor consulting approach to fixing my problem, which is I've stepped into a new role, boss is giving me pressure, new team. Now, in a coaching context, what my coach would probably advise me would be, hey Will, so tell me about your relationship with your boss. Tell me what you guys talk about and when you feel empowered. What is it that triggers you to feel uncomfortable? How are you dealing with your team? What have you dealt with in the past that is familiar with your situation right now? What's motivating you? What assumptions are you making? As you can see, these questions from my coach to me are quite exploratory. The solutions that I come up with, or the answers that I come up with, would then help me develop a solution to fix my landscape. So the difference between my mentor talking to me and my coach talking to me is that my mentor is not me. My mentor doesn't know really about me and the situation. They're just applying what they've learned and their experience into my situation. Whereas a coach is helping me discover my current landscape to help me manage my challenges to move forward and to remove those hurdles and to grow. So these two styles of leadership interventions are very, very different and have a very different effect. And the effect is what I call the network effect, or the coaching culture, which is still a tongue twister for me. The coaching culture is very, very different if you have a coach versus a mentor. Now, I'm not saying that you should only have a coach and not have a mentor. A mentor is someone that you can go to for advice and guidance and networking for your particular track in your career. Whereas a coach helps you become a better you, helps you find clarity around your situations so that you are the person that solves the root causes of some of the challenges that you may see. Okay? And that's a difference between coaching and mentoring. Yeah? So I'm in China, and as I said before, coaching is quite a new industry compared to, say, Europe and North America and Australia as well, which are countries and continents that coaching has been embraced since the 1980s. So in China, I'm often asked, so you're a coach, what is leadership coaching? And Will, you're an executive coach. Tell me why companies hire you. What do you do? Okay. And so if you're new to coaching and you're listening to this video, you might be asking the same thing. So I guess the best way to explain why leadership coaching or executive coaching is used and adopted and is powerful. Why am I still here in China helping grow this coaching industry? I'm an ICF coach. I'm a certified and accredited professional coach, a PCC. And the ICF and many organizations over several years have been taking surveys of thousands and thousands of companies, and some of the results are quite astounding. So on the screen here, you're probably seeing a few results that I've just put up, which is of the thousands of companies that have been interviewed about coaching and their coaching practices, how coaching is affecting their bottom line and their successes, only 13% of companies have a coaching culture. That means their executives and leaders and senior leaders are embracing coaching, are practitioners of coaching, and use coaching to grow their organizations. Okay? And what they found in this 13% of companies is that 65% or more of their employees are more engaged. That means the employees feel that they're valued, they're part of the company, and they're less likely to leave. Okay, so that means I don't have to manage my retention numbers, and because retention is very expensive. So when employees are more engaged, your company is likely to grow. Okay, 60% of those companies have higher than average revenue streams compared to their competitors because of this, because of coaching. Now that's quite astounding. However, in China, as I mentioned, it's still not yet adapted because in China, because China is a very fast-paced country, a lot of leadership want results very, very quickly. They want what I call instant gratification. So they normally hire consultants to come in. So I myself am also a business consultant. I'm not a business coach. As a consultant, I will go in and advise. I help distressed companies. I help companies format and put compliance and operation models in. And that's a consulting role. But when I'm a coach, a leadership coach, or an organizational coach, I coach the senior leaders at the top to become the best of themselves and help their organizations grow. So then there's a combination of consulting and coaching. Okay, but what I'm seeing more and more of in South China, in the Greater Bay Area, is more tertiary services coming in. So a lot of my clients are multinational corporations, like international companies or Fortune 500 companies that are moving into this region. And my clients are adopting this more and more. And these international companies are a flag bearer, or they're raising the bar for local Chinese companies to look and see, oh wow, coaching is being adopted by these companies. Why don't we give it a try? So that's what I'm doing here in China, helping the coaching industry grow a little bit more, especially in the corporate space. Now, that's research. What about personal input of why coaching works and why coaching works in this region? So I'd say 9 out of 10 of my coaching clients these leaders are more trusting of their teams. That means that they are empowering their teams a little bit more to be autonomous, okay? Freeing up time for themselves to become more strategic and more outward-looking towards their customers and forward-looking into the next 2 to 3 years. Because of this empowerment, they're allowing their teams to become more creative. They're supporting innovation. And what does that mean? That means that there's more likely to be failures, which then learning points, and then success. So this Agile approach is born of this coaching mentality that these leaders adopt. And another thing that I've noticed about my clients are they're establishing stronger relationships, not only with their teams, but with their peers and stakeholders in terms of the business and operations and finance, whatever, across the board within the organization, but also they're starting to engage with their stakeholders outside, which their end clients, their customers. Okay, and some of these companies that I work for are engaging with their government, local officials, and they're engaging a little bit more to be more open and embracing with some of the navigational challenges that they're having in operating in this region. So that's quite amazing as well when they tell me these things. And the last thing that they've actually fed back to me was that after being coached, they feel that they should be coaching others as well. They believe that if they were able to coach their teams and people around them, have those coaching conversations, then the organization will benefit tenfold, 20-fold, and they see it as a massive network. And I will talk about the network effect and the ripple effect later on when I talk about SNA. So coaching for me has been an amazing experience in the last 3 years as a full-time professional coach in this region. There's a long way to go, but I'm seeing lots of companies starting to adopt coaching, and I find that wonderful. Okay, right, the next piece I want to talk about is this SNA, this social networking analysis. You've probably seen this in different guises across marketing and media and user experience, and how everyone's connected, 6 degrees of separation. Now, in a coaching context and in terms of the coaching culture, one of my peers, one of my fellow coaches, Sean O'Connor, took this model for coaching. So you'll see yellow diamonds. The yellow diamonds are the coaching leaders. These leaders are either practitioners of coaching or they're embracing coaching and applying coaching across the board in their organizations. The blue blocks, the blue circles, are the people that are receiving coaching within their organization. Okay? And then you see solid lines, dark solid lines, and red solid lines. The dark solid lines are positive interactions between people within an organization. And the red solid lines are the negative interactions. Okay, so the blue solid lines are the positive interactions. The red solid lines are the negative, the ones where they're not having such a great time connecting and engaging with each other. Okay, so in this model, you'll probably see that there are more dark blue solid lines than red solid lines, which means everyone's engaging and connected. And the size of the yellow diamonds and the blue circles represents how many connections that they have, how many interactions that they're having on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so as you can see, this is a massive network topology. Okay, so what we're seeing when senior leaders are coaching, I think there's, like I said, there's 8 senior leaders in this particular organisation that are coaching. You're seeing that there's a bigger network effect of people engaging and networking and talking to each other. Now, what does that mean? It means that the connectivity, the ties are deeper. There's more data flowing between people. There's more communication flowing. So these ties are deeper between the organisation. The yellow blobs that you saw earlier on, sorry, the yellow diamonds you saw earlier on, are leaders in different functions or different departments, and they're connecting all of their teams together, and they're doing cross-departmental communication as well. So it provides us with a quick understanding, quick view of how this coaching culture has this ripple effect through the whole organisation. As you can see, it's expanded all the way out. And not only does it cause revenue generation, because people are talking together more, they're more collaborative, there's a deep psychological connection as well as humans to humans, okay, because of this coaching culture. So you're probably asking me, well, how do I know if my company adopts a coaching culture? Well, there is an audit, or there's a metric or a set of metrics you can measure this within. And I'd say that your company has a coaching culture if the leaders at the top, as I said before, are practitioners. They're embracing coaching. If people within your organization value coaching, if you hear people say, hey, we need to have a coaching conversation around this, that's another good indication that you have a coaching culture within your organization. You'll probably be finding that your managers are spending more time with you one-to-one. And the questions that they're asking you are more exploratory rather than directive. Okay? The people at the top, or certain people in your organization as managers, might be accredited, say with the ICF, as accredited coaches or professional coaches. And one of the things that I find the biggest metric, whether your company is a coaching cultured company, is in the budget, there's a line in training that says coaching. That means every year there's an amount of money set aside for leaders and individuals to receive coaching as an investment to grow the company. So that's how I see whether a company has adopted a coaching culture. And all of my clients have. Well, because they've hired me, number one, and the clients that I coach are C-suite and above. In China, they're more VP and MD level. But what I found is that the VP level, people that works between maybe 5 to 10 years, they're really receptive to coaching because they see it as an investment. It's new to them, okay? And they really take hold of this opportunity to be coached and move forward because they see it as an opportunity to grow and discover themselves. As I said, the companies that are moving into the Greater Bay Area are companies that are multinationals, they're international companies, Fortune 500 companies. But the common theme that I'm seeing through this and the clients that I'm coaching, they're all being disrupted, or they're going through some transformation as a result of disruption. So they're always managing this change, VUCA, V-U-C-A, volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity in their operating landscapes. And they're the people that I'm coaching constantly because they're going through this disruption. So if your organization is going through disruption and the leaders are looking at managing new landscapes, because change is constantly changing, it's changing rapidly, they are more likely to be receiving coaching for someone like me as an executive coach. And one of the quotes that you're seeing here is from Jack Welch, who sadly passed away not too long ago. And he said, in the future, those who are not coaches will not be promoted. Okay? What he's actually saying is that if you're in a position of a leadership role or you're a manager, if you adopt coaching within your toolkit, then you're more likely to succeed. Okay? And I truly believe that. I'll give you a personal story. I started to run teams in 2007, 2008 in London. My first team was very small. It was just 4 people, including myself. And the very first training that I got was coaching. I didn't understand this. Why am I getting coaching? I should be learning how to run budgets and manage teams and, putting projects together. But coaching was the first training I received, and I learned the basic model of GROW, G-R-O-W. And I didn't really use coaching too much in my first couple of years of leadership or managing a team until I moved to Hong Kong in 2010. And when I moved to Hong Kong in 2010, wow, everything was really new to me. The culture, the people, the work that I had to achieve. I had a team in China, I had a team in Hong Kong, I had a team in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And I needed to be a little bit more, how can I put it, delegating, more curious around the operating model and what I needed to achieve and how to do things. So I started to be more of a coaching leader, asking questions of myself and of my team to be able to run, a team at a regional level. And then since then, coaching has been my default style of leadership. And it worked really, really well in my last role, running close to 11,000 people, where I had to have those coaching conversations, and I saw that ripple effect go through the organisation in quite a dramatic effect, where my team members became coaches themselves. I got them to have coaches as well to grow the organisation because we were going through change. Okay, so as I said, I want to end on ethics, I guess, and pricing. So if you're new to coaching, again, I'm in China, lots of people are new to coaching, and you want to understand how coaching works in terms of, if I wanted a coach, how does it work? Okay? And I want to talk about pricing because this is a question that I get asked all of the time. How do I price? Because people say, Will, you're an executive coach. How much do you charge? Okay, and why are you so expensive? Sometimes I get that. So as an ICF coach, we have a code of conduct and we have ethics that we run by. So 25% of my time I do pro bono coaching for free. And the rest of the time, 75% I will charge. How do I charge? Well, there's 4 models that I'd like to take you through, which is the hourly rate, the contract rate, the retainer rate, and the results-based rate. Okay, so the first one, the hourly rate. The hourly rate is when a client doesn't really understand coaching and they want to have a little taster. Okay, and also when a coach is relatively new as well and they don't really have the confidence to go through a full-length cycle of a coaching contract. So the coaching hourly rate model is really, really good for the individual being coached because they can get a session for an hour, then get another session and decide, oh, coach is not for me, and stop. And so they've defined how much they're paid per session. But as a coach, I find that quite tough because if I find a client that really is worthy of coaching, that means they have the skill and they have the capacity and the will to want to be coached, then I think they should go through the whole cycle and achieve their potential. But if they give up halfway for whatever reason, then I feel ethically that I haven't fulfilled my business or my service as a coach to that individual. So there's an hourly rate, and some people charge $20, $30, $40, $100. Okay, so it's completely dependent on the coach and the context of the individual. So that's the first pricing strategy that one adopts or one can use. The one that I use most is the second one, which is a contract. Okay, or some people call it a package. So an MNC would come to me and say, hey, Will, can you coach this person within our organisation? And I'll say, yes, fantastic, let's sit down, let's talk about how this will work. And normally I'll end up with a 9 to 12 month contract where that would be 12 to maybe 14 hours or 14 sessions of an hour and a half, structured over 9 to 12 months. Okay, and obviously there'll be a midway checkpoint, and that's paid up front, or it could be paid up front with a 50%, and then the next 25% at midway point, and the rest at the end. Okay, so that's what I typically use, and that allows for the engagement to be continuous. It's very disciplined. Okay, the coachee receiving the coaching understands that there's going to be milestones every so often, and then there's more drive and motivation to be able to action on every session and move forward. And you can see the organisation grow because of this individual growing. Okay, So for me, it's wonderful to see organizations grow as a result of this particular contract that we've agreed. Okay. The next pricing strategy is the retainer strategy. Okay, so the retainer strategy is quite simple. I offer my services as, in 1 month, I offer you 10 sessions. So every month I offer you 10 sessions and you pay me a flat fee, say, okay, 15,000 RMB as an example. Okay, and anyone in that organization can use those 10 sessions and be coached by me. Okay, and then if they do use them all and want more, then we pay on a per session basis. If they're not used, that's fine. We just move into the next month. There is no rollover of sessions. Every month there's 10 sessions, used or not used, and there's a flat fee. Okay? And why do I think that's wonderful? Because it allows the organization to have anyone be coached. Okay? So once they're being coached, then that ripple effect starts to happen. So over 2 months, I could coach 20 different people because of 2 sets of 10 sessions. And if they keep coming back, then what you see is this organic growth of a coaching culture. Okay? The downsides, I guess, are when people want a slot and the slots are all taken up and they don't want to add any more slots. So it's kind of hampering for people. So what I do in those situations is when I identify someone that wants coaching and they're really eager and have the skill and the will, then I create a contract, the second option that I just spoke about, and I go down that route with that particular individual. Okay, so a retainer could turn into a contract. The last one, which is I guess the most difficult one, which I probably use twice, is the results-based coaching price, where it's very much like consulting. Okay, you get paid up a flat fee at the start, which is quite a small amount. Okay, and you don't get paid up fully until the result has been delivered. Okay, so a project, as an example, might be a result. So I'll come in. This is what they want to achieve from coaching. And until that's achieved, I don't get paid until the end. Okay, so I introduced a midway checkpoint on this, which is to have a checkpoint with the coachee and the sponsor to say, is coaching working? If it is, let's continue. At this point, let's get paid a little bit more until the end. If it's not working for whatever reason, I'm not the right coach for them, or they're not coaching, or that we're just not getting on, we go our separate ways, and that's it. I've been paid up front, and that's it. Okay, so this is probably an interesting way for you as a company who want to hire a coach as a results based, and it's very consulting-esque. Okay, so I just mentioned mutual separation. So again, we're talking about the ethics and the code of conduct. When you search for a coach, one of the things that you need to make sure of is that you like the coach that you are going to be working with. You trust the coach you're going to be working with. Remember, coaching is a relationship business, okay? It's like matchmaking. It's like dating, okay? We're going to be seeing each other and talking to each other quite a lot. You're going to be opening up to me, and you're going to have confidence in me, and I have to be able to believe that you want to be coached, okay? So if that's not working, then go your separate ways. Let's not waste each other's time. So when you're searching for a coach, I'm going to use the ALIVE acronym, which I got from the CEO of Shift Coaching, Susan, in the US, which is ALIVE. Okay, A being a coach has to be appreciative and attentive to the coachee. The coach, obviously, as a coach, L has to be a great listener. Okay, the I, they have to be inquisitive, have to inquire about the situation that the coachee is in. V, there needs to be validation. I need to be able to validate as a coach what we're discussing to make sure that we're on track. And then the last one is to educate, and I say empathize as well, to make sure that you're learning and I can be empathetic to your situation. So if your coach isn't alive, then the coach probably isn't a good coach for you. And many people come to me for coaching, especially in finance, in banking, in fintech, in technology. Why? Because in the last 18 to 20 years, that's what I've been doing. Now, I'm not a purist to say, as a coach, I can coach across any industry, any sector. In theory, yes, I can. But most of my clients are from these 4 industries. And why? Because the client feels more comfortable talking to me, knowing that I know what they're talking about. I understand this political landscape that they're in, this operational landscape that they're in. Okay? The most important thing is that you as a client are feeling comfortable with me as a coach. And that's why we have chemistry discussions. Okay? So I'm seeing more and more of companies, Chinese companies, as well as obviously international players in South China wanting to explore coaching. So if you're someone that is new to coaching and I've explained coaching to you, want to explore a little bit more, then please reach out to me, because I'd be really, really willing to explain to you what coaching is and how coaching can help you in your business. Okay, so today I've talked a little bit about coaching, which is International Coaching Week, in particular the coaching culture, why it's needed in South China, where there's disruption happening, there's transformation constantly happening in the Greater Bay Area, and especially with loads of tertiary services growing and booming. If you want to find out more, please drop me an email, details at the bottom of the screen. But also, if you want to be coached, I'm also happy to talk to you. And if there's anything on today's vlog that you don't understand or you don't agree with, again, I love feedback. Tell me how these videos can be better and more useful to you, so that we can have a more of an engaging conversation. So that's it, International Coaching Week 2020 from home. We hope to see you very soon. Us at Wilosophy wishes you a happy International Coaching Week. During this time, again, please be safe, be happy, be healthy, and we shall see you next time. Bye-bye.